Right, well, I think all Christians would agree that God is intelligent and that he is the designer, the creator. But how do you see your view in comparison with like the Discovery Institute and people like Michael Behe
Right.
and Stephen Myers?
Right. So I actually don't agree that God is intelligent. I think he's way beyond what we call intelligence. And in the book, I use the term divine design because an intelligent designer can make a watch, right? That's we know that. So the old example of you find a watch, you assume intelligence. But what I like to say is, if you find a rabbit, what does that tell you? A rabbit, you can't design, you can't make a rabbit. Nobody can make a rabbit or any animal or any living thing. That's way beyond intelligence. So I don't think of God as intelligent. I think he's a divine designer, and that's different. We don't know how God worked, how he created. We don't know the mechanisms. There were mechanisms, and they probably followed what we call natural processes. There may have been some miracles. I mean, this is all unknown. But I think that the problem, I certainly hold to intelligent design with a small I. Okay, if you want to say that intelligence includes everything, including the divine intelligence, you could do that. And there's some parts of intelligent design that I absolutely agree with, especially when it concerns the origin of information in living organisms. The origin of life is an unknown topic, and but what I don't hold to and I don't agree with is the idea of saying that if we find a something happens that's extremely improbable, that's evidence for God. Because one of the things about natural selection, and this is well known, is that it can do the highly improbable and do it well. And that's easily proven. So the fact that people often say, well, the chances of getting this protein is 1 in 10 to the 350 power or whatever. And that's just incorrect. It's a very baby use of statistics, and I don't like that argument. I don't think anyone's using that anymore. And I'm very happy to see that many people within the Discovery Institute, including Behe and Michael Denton and a few others, I've had some nice conversations with Ann Gager, and they're I mean they do believe that design and that spontaneous creation and design show that there's a God, or that there's something beyond just random evolution, and I agree with that. But many of them are also coming to the view that in some cases the evolutionary paradigm simply works, microevolution, for example, or even the kind of evolution that came after the ark, which even young Earth creationists hold to. I mean, evolution is no longer something that is considered wrong by anybody, because in young Earth, in the story of Answers in Genesis, and there's now the idea that after the ark, there was a very, very rapid speciation of various kinds. And that's not exactly the same as biological evolution, the theory of biological evolution, but it's fairly close. So, it's the evolutionary mechanism of natural selection is certainly very powerful. It doesn't explain origins, and there's a lot it does not explain. And I actually have a video on that, because I think it's really important before anybody starts talking about evolution to understand what it really is, and especially what it is not. Because when I hear Kent Hovind say, well, I don't know, the galaxies didn't form by evolution, I just that's not what evolution is. Purely biological. It has nothing to do with anything else. It doesn't even relate to technology. It doesn't relate to human culture. It's a biological theory with a very strict set of rules that only apply to biological organisms, and it applies pretty much only to the growth of diversity among biological organisms. It doesn't relate to the origin of life in any way.